Okay, so on update, so on October 27th, there's gonna be an update, maintenance from 9 p.m. till 1 a.m. October 28th. So this will be for Wednesday stream for us, basically, right? Okay, school rewards are being changed. I'm not reading that. Apple ID, not reading that. I did see this. Apparently they're nerfing or adjusting all of the card art to make it less sexualized, right? Which is cool, I guess. No big deal there, personally. Okay, here's the big one. So, in order to improve the balance of the game, the following cards will be changed. So first we have the Invisible Monster Trio. Was previously a 7 play point 6/6, and it had, you know, Rush, Bane, Ward, end of turn deal 3 damage, last words, all this crazy stuff, fanfare. So now, it still has all of those, but it's gonna be a 5/5 instead. And at the end of the turn, it only does 2 damage. What this means is that it's just doing a bit less damage, all things considered. So you see how the Shadows are playing like a full-on combo build, basically. This will make the Shadow combo, quote-unquote, worse. Because, you know, the trio is just less stats, so he's less likely to survive the trades. We'll go face for less damage with Storm, and then we'll push less damage at the end of the turn. Now, so that we're clear, the way that side games operates, when nerfs are done here, it's not meant to destroy the card, the deck, the archetype, whatever. It's still meant to be good. Will Trio be good after the nerfs? Hell yes, he's still gonna be super good. It's just gonna be a little bit more manageable, and maybe we'll see Shadow try and do other things. What I will say is that now we're seeing Shadow play like a full-on combo deck, where they just like, they draw, generate shadows, bam, combo. But in the past, we saw Shadow play Bureau Run, things like that, where you could still have board presence and still achieve this like very powerful Gremory pop-off. So I think you still can do that, even if you can't kill with the trio that one turn because doing less damage. You know, once Gremory is online, your deck is still absolutely insane, trio will still be crazy, and I think it'll still be a viable win condition, but maybe just a bit more fair, more easy to deal with. And I think it's an excellent change, so clappy clap, good job side games. Our next nerf is the Enchanted Knight. Is going from a 2 cost to a 3 cost. Now this makes the card significantly worse, like way, and I mean way worse. You see how much Warhaven I'm playing, and the fact that you can slot out Kerba with your Enchanted Knight on 2 is very, very good. Means that on like turn 4, you could play, you know, Rampiel, Enchanted Knight, draw 2 cards, Sanctuary, Enchanted Knight, draw 2 cards, Sniper, Knight, draw 2 cards, and so on. Now he does get one more ass. It is a 1/3, which is slightly better as a 3-drop, but it's going to be a lot, and I mean a lot hard to slot it in. Now, does that mean that you would cut him or not play him? I mean, I don't know. It's still really, really strong. You definitely still do 1 card draw. It just won't be as free as it was before. But, you know, Ambolt is not getting touched, which I think is fine. You know, there's only so many cards you can nerf, and I think they shouldn't just like nerf everything. I think it's a good change. It'll be weaker, but probably still good. Artifact scan will cost 1 play point. This is massive, so like, okay, a card going from 2 play points to 3 play points is a big deal. But a card going from 0 to 1 is a bigger deal, because this is 1 more play point that it costs. But this is like infinity more play points that it costs, you know, because it was free before. Now you're always gonna have to commit a play point to the scan. Artifact scan was an insane card though, like crazy insane. But I think this is like a one of those predictions where they're like, hey, if we're gonna nerf everything else which they're doing, then maybe they were scared that artifacts would rise up and take over the world. So preemptively nerfing this scan, I think is a good idea. We saw in the SBO how crazy scan can get. I think it's a good change. Artifacts, you know, were good, have been good, probably continue to be good in the future. We'll see what happens to them. Scan as a 1 play point just makes sense. It's almost like this is what the card should have been in the first place, right? Yeah, you can still play scan for 1 play point and get 2 artifacts that cost 0. Like, that's still very, very strong. So, good change. Solid. I'm about that life. The world here is the biggest, and I mean biggest change. So world is now going to cost 6 play points. It's going to make it a lot, clunkier when you have it in your hand. Now it still has the same effect, still very, very strong. But again, one cost is massive in Shadowverse. It means that like on those 7 play point turns, you can't just go like, okay, I play the world, I clear your follower, and then I play my very well statted 2-drop with a good Evo effect and then answer the rest of the board. It's going to be just a lot more clunky, no more of that. Now when you finally do invoke the world at the end of, or on turn 10, it's only going to become a 7/7, aka it's only getting the +2/+2 stats. And that means that he will do less damage if given Storm with, say, the Wildcat from Sword, or he is less likely to survive, because if you trade against anything, his effect does 4 damage to him. He's just like never gonna live. And if you're like, say, Havencraft, you can't just invoke a 10/10, protect it with Yukari, and then try and win off of that. So they're nerfing the world pretty much in all aspects. If it's in your deck and you draw it, it's a bit worse. And then if it's in your deck and you don't draw, you invoke it, well, the effect is still there, but the stats are way worse. So seems like a great nerf. The world was a really oppressive card. It was really like dominating the game. And if they didn't change it, this would be around for like a year, which would be really annoying. I know a lot of people do dislike the world, and he had a good run. He was a fun card. Really cool dude. I like the art. Fantastic. We saw the world dominate the game, and maybe it's time for someone else to, have a chance. So with the world gone or less playable, we'll see if aggro decks can finally rise up as people predict. Maybe not. I think that some decks are still going to play the world. Things like Sword might still play it. Maybe you don't play like triple world and 2 cats, but you might still play it because 17 phase damage is still pretty good. If you're like Artifact, or not Artifact, like Control Portal, you want the combo, you're still going to play it. If you're like Haven, you might still play it as well. So it'll be a playable card, just not as splashable, which is only a very, very good thing. Okay, next we have the buffs. Giant Pastures is the 6 play point 5/6 that does damage. The change here is that instead of doing damage to all enemy followers, it is now doing damage to all enemies, so the effect is going phase. This is good because the forest deck that we're seeing show up, it's a more aggressive forest deck, where sometimes not even playing the Luxes, you're just going aggro, getting all the face damage, trying to smork these combo shadow decks basically. And in those cases, if you have to play Pastures as a 6-drop, because he has a great accelerate, then hey, why not get some phase damage out of it? It's not like a massive change, but the deck already seemed like it was getting better than people thought it was. And when you combine this with the fact that the other top decks will be worse because of nerfs, and then this card is getting better, then maybe with all those things combined, then maybe the aggro deck could be good and, might have a spot in the meta. What I will say is that, Shadow was dominating, so aggro forest is showing up to beat up on Shadow. But if Shadow doesn't dominate and the meta is like, say, Sword, I think Sword would still body the aggro forest, so we'll see. The other nerf is a big one. It's Gravy, the Berserker. So before, on Evo, you deal 4 damage to enemy follower, and then you spend 4 more points to deal 8 to everybody instead. Now on Evo, you deal 1 damage to your leader and then 4 to enemy followers, so it's going to help you proc your Wrath if it's in the early game. And then if you have at least 4 play points, instead of dealing 4 damage to enemy follower, he's going to get Storm and then deal 8 to all other followers. So the difference here is that he's not spending the play points. See, here it says if you have at least 4, use 4. Here's just if you have at least 4. So on turn 8, you play Gravy, you Evo it. You're going to deal 8 damage to everybody else, but if that wasn't good enough, he's also getting Storm. If you're not aware of this, Storm is quite a powerful and good keyword in Shadowverse. So it's like pretty good, right? Shoutouts to AutoAim, who's pointed out that even though it might seem obvious to play Gravy in Wrath, because there's some Wrath synergy there, like he gets to do it for free, he can heal or whatever, this might just be a good blood card in general now. Like on turn 8, you can play Gravy, Evo it, clear the board, get a Storm follower with a lot of attack, and then you still have 4 playments left over. And with 4 play points, you can play like 2 Eraser Claws. So potentially you're going face for like 12 damage turn 8. That seems pretty good to me. Gravy will be around for a while because it's Colosseum, so he's got at least, 2 more months and then 3 more months. So, you know, he might just be a great blood card now, and he'll have a lot of time to show up in decks, whether that be Wrath Blood or other decks in the future Blood might have. So overall, I think excellent changes from Cygames. You know, we're nerfing the cards that were really good from the decks that were really strong. Shadow, Wardhaven, Portal, the World for everybody. And then buffing some of the classes that could use a bit of help. Those being Forest and Blood. So great changes overall. I can't wait to see what the new meta is going to be like. And again, keep in mind that in November, we also have the mini expansion. It's going to bring a legendary and a gold for every single class. So we'll see how that shakes up the meta. And I look forward to, I guess, seeing what else happens in Rivayle. Like this change. I don't know if it's going to be a 3-off, but worth considering for a Rat aggro tech. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good change. How are you doing, Abby? He's still getting evil stats. They didn't say he's not, so yeah, we can assume he's still at 6'5". Rivayle. Yeah, like, they didn't mention the fanfare, so those things aren't changing. Like, look, for Trio here, it's not like he's losing Bane, Rush, Ward, and all that. They're just highlighting what is changing. Like, if Trio was a 7 play point 5/5, I think it'll turn deal 2 damage. Like, wow, that'd be an ass card, right? So don't worry about that. Yeah, 6 attack Storm that can clear any wards, right? Because 8 damage is gonna wipe any wards. And then you get players left over to to smork the face with I don't know, claws, walls, all the good stuff. But yeah, overall I think they're excellent, and I mean excellent changes. And I look forward to seeing the new meta chat. But first, let's get GM, I guess.